Hercules was a mighty hero known for his unmatched strength. Because of a mistake he had made, the gods forced him to complete 12 difficult labors. One of these labors was to retrieve some golden apples for the king of Mycenae. His journey was long and dangerous. Along the way, he encountered a giant named Antaeus. Antaeus challenged everyone who passed by to wrestle with him. If they lost, he would kill them. No one had ever defeated him. The desert was filled with the bones of his victims. Hercules accepted the challenge without hesitation. He threw Antaeus to the ground. But Antaeus stood up stronger than before. 3 times Hercules knocked him down, and 3 times he rose again. Hercules realized Antaeus drew strength from the earth. He was the son of Gaia, the earth goddess. As long as he touched the ground, he could not be defeated. So Hercules devised a plan. He let Antaeus push him down. Then he stood up and lifted Antaeus high into the air. Away from the ground, Antaeus became weaker. Hercules squeezed tightly until the giant was defeated. From then on, travelers could cross the desert safely. Hercules continued his journey to find the golden apples. These apples belonged to a garden guarded by the daughters of Atlas. Atlas himself was a giant who was being punished by the gods. He had to carry the sky on his shoulders forever. When Hercules found Atlas, he asked for help. "Please bring me the golden apples," Hercules said. Atlas replied, "I would help, but as you can see, I must hold up the heavens." Hercules said, "I will hold the sky for you, just for a while." Atlas agreed and passed the burden onto Hercules' shoulders. Then he went to fetch the apples. When he returned, Atlas saw a chance to escape his burden. He said, "I'll deliver these apples myself. You keep holding the sky." Hercules realized the trick but remained calm. Smiling, he replied, "All right, but please take the sky back for just a moment so I can place a cushion on my shoulders." Atlas agreed and took back the sky. Hercules quickly grabbed the apples and stepped away. "Thank you, my friend," he said, "but we must each bear our own punishment." Then he walked away, leaving Atlas to carry the sky once more.
Slay the Nemean Lion. At that time, the Nemean Valley was being ravaged by a lion. Heracles was assigned the task of killing this seemingly invincible beast. His cruel half-brother Eurystheus wanted him to bring back the lion's skin as proof of completing the first labor. Heracles arrived in the town of Cleone, where he stayed in the house of Melorchus, a poor hired laborer. When Melorchus wanted to offer a sacrifice to pray for Heracles' safety, Heracles asked him to wait for 30 days. If he returned victorious with the lion's skin, they would sacrifice to Zeus, king of the gods. If Heracles died during the fight, Melorchus agreed to offer a sacrifice to honor him as a hero. When Heracles arrived in Nemea and began tracking the beast, he quickly realized he couldn't kill it with bow or sword. The lion's hide deflected his arrows and broke his sword. Heracles continued tracking the beast with his club in hand. He came to a cave with two entrances, blocked one, and forced the lion to exit through the other. There, Heracles finally confronted the lion. He had to rely on his own strength to kill it. Despite the beast's powerful claws, Heracles used his mighty arms to hold and strangle it to death. Heracles returned to Cleone with the dead lion on the 30th day since his departure. Melorcus and Heracles were then able to offer a sacrifice to Zeus. When Heracles returned to Mycenae, Eurystheus was astonished that he had completed an impossible task. Terrified at the sight of the lion's skin, he fled and ordered Heracles to leave it outside the city gate. The cowardly king feared Heracles so much that he forbade him from entering the city. He even had a large bronze jar made and half buried it in the ground to hide in if needed. Afterwards, Eurystheus communicated with Heracles only through a messenger, refusing to meet him. Heracles wore the lion's skin as a cloak and used its head as a helmet. The spirit of the Nemean Lion was placed in the sky as the constellation Leo. The constellation Leo was not created by Zeus, but represents the lion itself.
Slay the nine-headed Lernaean Hydra.
After his first glorious feat, Hercules was ordered by Eurystheus to embark on an even more dangerous and difficult challenge, to go to Lerna and kill the Hydra. This was also a monster born of Typhon and Echidna, a giant serpent that had turned into a demon with 100 heads. It lived in the swampy region of Lerna on the Peloponnesian Peninsula. The horrors that the Hydra brought upon the people of the region were countless. First, let us speak of its breath.
From its 100 massive heads, with mouths as wide as trays, the breath was like strong gusts of wind. When the Hydra hissed and blew, trees fell, houses were blown away. More dangerously, its breath contained poisonous gas that would kill anyone who inhaled it instantly. Because of that, no one dared approach, even while the Hydra was sleeping. The people of Lerna lost countless cattle, horses, goats, sheep, and even people to the Hydra. Hercules, together with Iolaus, son of Iphicles, arrived in Lerna in a chariot. They stopped at the edge of the swamp and sneaked through the thick reeds to find the monster's lair. The battle between Hercules and the Hydra was extremely fierce.
The Hydra lunged forward, wrapping around Hercules, trying to strangle him to death.
But Hercules quickly escaped its coils and swung his club at its heads.
Each blow seemed like it would destroy a head, and one would think 100 strikes could crush all 100 heads. But that was not the case. The Hydra was no ordinary serpent. For each head smashed, another immediately grew back in its place. Hercules ordered Iolaus to light a torch with blazing fire. For each head Hercules crushed, Iolaus had to burn the neck immediately, so no new head could grow. One by one, Hercules destroyed almost all of the Hydra's heads. Seeing her monster weakening, the goddess Hera sent a giant crab from the swamp to help the Hydra. The crab crawled up and pinched Hercules' toe while he was off guard. In pain, Hercules turned around and smashed it with his club. The crab shattered into pieces. The Hydra's heads were crushed, one after another. Only the central head remained. It was immortal and could not be harmed. Hercules used his sword to cut it off. Even severed, its eyes stayed open, and its mouth still spewed poison. Hercules dug a deep hole, threw the head in, and placed a huge rock over it. Only that way could it be kept from returning to life. Thus, the hero Hercules completed another great feat.
Capture the golden hind of Artemis. After completing his task of slaying the Hydra, Heracles was assigned a new challenge by King Eurystheus. This time, he was ordered to capture the Ceryneian hind alive and bring it back. The hind was no ordinary deer. It had golden antlers and bronze hooves, and it was sacred to the goddess Artemis. It lived freely in the forests of Cerynea and ran faster than any arrow could fly. Heracles knew he could not harm the creature, or he would anger Artemis. So he decided to track it carefully and wait for the right moment. For a whole year, Heracles chased the hind across forests, rivers, and mountains. The hind was swift and clever, always staying just out of reach. Finally, one day, as the hind paused to drink from a stream, Heracles threw his net. He managed to trap the hind without injuring it. As he prepared to return, Artemis appeared before him. She was angry that her sacred animal had been captured. Heracles respectfully explained that he had no choice, and he promised to release it after showing it to the king. Artemis, seeing his sincerity, agreed and let him go. Heracles returned to King Eurystheus and showed him the captured hind. Then, keeping his word, Heracles released the hind back into the wild. Thus, he completed his third labor with wisdom and patience. Capture the Erymanthian boar. After capturing the Ceryneian hind, Heracles received his fourth labor from King Eurystheus. This time, he was ordered to bring back the Erymanthian boar alive. The boar was a monstrous beast that lived on Mount Erymanthus. It terrorized the countryside, destroying crops and attacking anyone it encountered. Heracles set out into the snow-covered mountains to find the creature. On the way, he visited his old friend, the centaur Pholus. Pholus welcomed him warmly and offered him food and shelter. Heracles asked for wine, but it belonged to all the centaurs and wasn't to be opened. When they opened the wine, its smell attracted many other centaurs. A fight broke out, and Heracles had to defend himself. Sadly, Pholus accidentally dropped one of Heracles' poisoned arrows and died. Mourning his friend, Heracles buried him with honor before continuing his quest. He climbed higher into the snowy peaks where the boar made its den. Heracles chased the boar through deep snow and thick forests. Finally, he drove it into a snowdrift where it got stuck. Heracles jumped on it, tied it up with chains, and lifted it onto his shoulders. He carried the boar all the way back to King Eurystheus. Terrified at the sight, the king hid inside a bronze jar. Thus Heracles completed his fourth labor with great strength and endurance. Cleaned the Augean stables in a single day. After capturing the Erymanthian boar, Heracles was given his fifth labor by King Eurystheus. This time, he was ordered to clean the stables of King Augeas in a single day. Augeas was the king of Elis and owned the largest herd of cattle in Greece. His stables had not been cleaned for over 30 years. The filth was enormous, and the task seemed impossible. Heracles went to King Augeas and offered to clean the stables in one day. In return, he asked for a tenth of the king's cattle as payment. Augeas, thinking it was impossible, agreed, but did not tell Heracles' purpose to anyone. Heracles did not use a shovel or a broom. Instead, he came up with a clever plan. He dug 2 trenches from the stables to nearby rivers. Then he diverted the flow of the rivers Alpheus and Peneus through the stables. The rushing water washed away all the filth in a single afternoon. The stables were left spotless and clean. When Augeas found out Heracles was acting under Eurystheus' orders, he refused to pay. He even denied making the deal in front of witnesses. Furious, Heracles vowed to return and punish Augeas later. Despite the dispute, Heracles had successfully completed his fifth labor. Slay the Stymphalian birds. After cleaning the Augean stables, Heracles was assigned his sixth labor by King Eurystheus. This time, he was ordered to drive away or kill the Stymphalian birds. These birds were monstrous creatures with sharp bronze beaks and metallic feathers. They lived near Lake Stymphalia in Arcadia and terrorized the region. The birds could launch their feathers like arrows and tear humans apart. No one dared go near the lake because of them. Heracles traveled to Lake Stymphalia, but the marshy terrain made it difficult to reach the birds. The birds hid in thick reeds and trees, safe from arrows or traps. Then the goddess Athena came to Heracles' aid. She gave him a pair of bronze crotala, rattling clappers forged by Hephaestus. Heracles climbed a nearby hill and began clashing the crotala together. The loud echoing noise startled the birds and sent them flying into the sky. As they took flight, Heracles shot them down with his bow and poisoned arrows. Many of the birds fell into the lake, while the rest fled far away. The region was finally safe, and people could return to the lake. Heracles had completed his sixth labor with both strategy and strength. Capture the Cretan bull. After completing the task of driving away the Stymphalian birds, Heracles was given his seventh labor. This time, he was ordered to capture the Cretan bull alive and bring it back. The bull was a magnificent yet dangerous creature that roamed freely on the island of Crete. It had been sent by Poseidon, the god of the sea, but later became wild and destructive. The bull trampled fields, tore down fences, and terrified the local people. King Minos of Crete welcomed him and allowed him to take the bull if he could catch it. King Minos of Crete welcomed him and allowed him to take the bull if he could catch it. Heracles tracked the bull across hills and valleys. When he finally found it, the bull snorted and charged at him with fury. Heracles grabbed its horns and wrestled it to the ground. Using his great strength, he managed to subdue the bull without killing it. He tied it up and led it back to the ship. Then he sailed back to King Eurystheus to present the beast. Heracles had once again completed his labor with bravery and skill. Heracles had once again completed his labor with bravery and skill. Steal the mares of Diomedes. After capturing the Cretan bull, Heracles received his 8th labor from King Eurystheus. He was ordered to capture the man-eating mares of Diomedes. Diomedes was a cruel king of Thrace and the son of Ares, the god of war. He owned a herd of wild mares that were trained to eat human flesh. Diomedes fed his enemies and strangers to the horses to show his power. Heracles set sail with a group of companions to reach Thrace. When they arrived, they went straight to the stables where the mares were kept. The horses were wild, aggressive, and extremely dangerous. Heracles and his men fought hard to control them. Meanwhile, Diomedes came with his soldiers to stop Heracles. A fierce battle broke out between Heracles and Diomedes. Heracles killed Diomedes and dragged his body to the stables. Once tamed, Heracles easily tied the mares and led them to the ship. Once tamed, Heracles easily tied the mares and led them to the ship. He returned to King Eurystheus and presented the mares. The king was shocked by the savage nature of the horses. Heracles had once again succeeded through strength and courage. Obtain the girdle of Hippolyta, queen of the Amazons. After taming the mares of Diomedes, Heracles received his 9th labor from King Eurystheus. This time, he was ordered to retrieve the girdle of Hippolyta, queen of the Amazons. The girdle was a gift from Ares, the god of war, symbolizing her power and leadership. Eurystheus wanted the belt as a present for his daughter Admete. Heracles gathered a group of warriors and set sail for the land of the Amazons. When Heracles arrived, Queen Hippolyta came to meet him peacefully. She admired his courage and agreed to give him the girdle without a fight. However, the goddess Hera disguised herself and spread rumors among the Amazons. She claimed that Heracles had come to kidnap their queen. The Amazons grew angry and prepared to attack Heracles and his men. A fierce battle broke out between Heracles and the Amazons. Believing he was betrayed, Heracles fought Hippolyta and killed her. He then took the girdle from her body and fled with his men. The warriors fought bravely and managed to escape the Amazon lands. Heracles returned to King Eurystheus and gave him the girdle. Though saddened by Hippolyta's death, Heracles had completed his 9th labor. Capture the cattle of the monster Geryon. After retrieving the girdle of Hippolyta, Heracles was given his 10th labor by King Eurystheus. He was ordered to travel to the far west and bring back the cattle of Geryon. Geryon was a giant with 3 bodies and 3 heads. He lived on the island of Erythea, far beyond the known world. The cattle were guarded by a herdsman named Eurytion and a 2-headed dog called Orthrus. To reach the island, Heracles had to cross the scorching desert of Libya. In the heat, he shot an arrow at the sun, and the sun god Helios admired his bravery. Helios gave Heracles a golden cup to sail across the ocean. Reaching Erythea, Heracles was first attacked by Orthrus. He killed the dog with his club. Then the herdsman Eurytion tried to stop him. Heracles struck him down as well. When Geryon heard the commotion, he came to fight Heracles. A fierce battle took place between them. Heracles used his bow and shot a poisoned arrow into Geryon's heart. Geryon collapsed, and Heracles gathered the cattle. He sailed back using the golden cup and returned the cattle to Eurystheus. Thus, Heracles completed his 10th labor after a long and dangerous journey. Steal the apples of the Hesperides. After retrieving the cattle of Geryon, Heracles was given his 11th labor by King Eurystheus. This time he was ordered to bring back the golden apples from the garden of the Hesperides. The apples were a wedding gift from Gaia to Hera and were kept in a secret garden. The garden was guarded by the Hesperides and a 100-headed dragon named Lydon. No one knew the exact location of the garden, so Heracles had to search far and wide. On his journey, he met the sea god Nereus, who knew the way but would not tell. Heracles wrestled with Nereus until he revealed the location. Following the directions, Heracles traveled to the edge of the world. There he met the Titan Atlas, who held the sky on his shoulders. Heracles asked Atlas to retrieve the apples while he held up the sky in his place. Atlas agreed, happy to be free for a while. He returned with the golden apples but did not want to take the sky back. Cleverly, Heracles pretended to adjust his position and asked Atlas to hold the sky for a moment. When Atlas took it back, Heracles took the apples and left. On his return, he gave the golden apples to King Eurystheus. The apples were later returned to the gods, as they belonged to Hera. Thus, Heracles completed his 11th labor with cleverness and courage. Capture and bring back Cerberus. After completing 11 labors, Heracles was given his 12th and final task. King Eurystheus ordered him to bring back Cerberus from the underworld. Cerberus was a monstrous 3-headed dog that guarded the gates of Hades. It had a serpent's tail and deadly breath, allowing no soul to escape. To complete this labor, Heracles had to descend into the realm of the dead. He sought help from the gods and was purified in the Eleusinian mysteries. Then he traveled to the entrance of the underworld, located at Cape Tenerum. Along the way, he encountered ghosts and spirits but was undeterred. Eventually, he stood before Hades and Persephone, rulers of the underworld. Heracles asked permission to take Cerberus to the world of the living. Hades agreed, but only if Heracles could capture the beast without using weapons. Heracles accepted and descended deeper into the shadows. He found Cerberus snarling and growling with fury. Heracles wrestled the beast with his bare hands. After a fierce struggle, he managed to subdue Cerberus without harming it. He dragged the beast up to the surface and brought it to Eurystheus. Eurystheus was terrified and begged Heracles to return it immediately. Heracles returned Cerberus safely to the Underworld, as promised. With this final task complete, Heracles had fulfilled all 12 labors. His name would be remembered forever as the greatest hero of Greek mythology.